Let's go ahead and take a look at what tools we're going to need. Now this is just a small mechanic set, and you know, basic stuff that you're going to want. You always want your drill, and this is, now I suggest this for anything. You don't want anything less than a 19 volt drill, especially when you're doing stuff. You see we got a 19 volt drill here, and you don't really want less than that if you're doing any type of mechanics, especially if you strip a screw, anything, any complications. You're going to want a strong drill, then an extender, because you're going to need to take off that seat on that scooter. And this extension allows you to use that drill. It's just a speed up process. Then of course some millimeters. Now the thing about Chinese made is they don't go by inches. They always go by millimeters. Let me show you. Let's see if I can get a good little picture, get a good picture of this right here. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to get a good picture for you guys, but to give you a basic idea, everything's done by millimeters when it's with the Chinese. Just, you know, wrench. You can adjust, an adjustable wrench. And then my mechanic set. Now I picked this up, and this is really not needed because of all just the millimeters and the drill, but it's nice to have. And if you're going to go ahead and buy anything, this is my suggestion. This is the only reason why I use the drill is because it's just so much faster. It makes the difference for me. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the scooter, and I'll start showing you how to take this thing apart. Alright guys, now your first step is you're going to need to pop up your seat. And let's go ahead and pop this bad boy open. As you can see, got your storage here, and you're going to have some nuts placed in here. Now you're going to have two on the top by the opening mechanism, one attached to the seat here, and then another two down inside the cup. And these are all going to be 10 millimeter. Now what you're going to want to do is, as I said before, if you're going to use a drill, I'm going to do this whole video with the drill, but you can do all of this with a socket set. But because, you know, I need to make this fast, I'm going to go ahead and do this all with a drill. And you're going to need a 10 millimeter. I'm just going to go ahead and put this on my drill. Oh, going the wrong way, I guess. Alright, now you're also going to want to make sure that you got it up on a high, just so that it can get a little bit of impact here. Oops, going the wrong way. Now it's just, my suggestion is always keep everything organized, keep everything together, that way you don't get anything lost. And when you start losing stuff, that's when you get in trouble. Now, this will take a little bit of jogging here and there, but you just gotta pop out the seat. I guess this one was a nice easy seat. Wanting to be cool. Hey guys, now that we got the seat off, let me give you a basic of what's going on in here. This is our carburetor. This is what we gotta take out to clean. And that's connected to the intake manifold, the exhaust, the accelerator cable, the auto choke, or the auto choke. I prefer the auto choke term, so I'm not going to go ahead and confuse you guys. And then the two gas lines. Now what we got to do first is disconnect the auto choke and the exhaust, and that is just with these two clamps right here. And I'm not sure if you can see them well, but you just loosen these up, and this might take a couple of seconds. So you just loosen these up. And, you know, you just got to look for it to have a certain looseness to it. I guess the best way of describing it is just if you can wiggle it around, it's about where you want it. Now, pulling this out is going to be a pain in the butt because, you know, these things don't like to give up what they got. And just when you get it loose, now what you're going to want to do is pick which part of it you want to pull out. Personally, I'm going to pull the carburetor. Just pull it back, because once it pops out of the front, then it's much easier to get it out of the back. So we're just going to go ahead and just jiggle it around, give it a little bit of jiggle. This will take quite a bit of force. And just kind of pull it back. Oh, look what happened first. I guess our exhaust just didn't like it. Let's try our intake manifold again. Just see if we can twist it off. And there we go. Now we've disconnected our intake manifold from the carburetor. Now, the next step, which would be get out our adjustable wrench and just get it on there, and that's going to be on your accelerator cable, excuse me. And your accelerator cable is located right here. And you're just going to go ahead and loosen off that nut. Excuse me. I'm not calling you guys nuts, but, you know, might be nuts. Alright, so now we've got this off. Now you really don't want to be messing with the bottom bolt all that much, because that sets your preset. That's what makes your bike responsive. So if you want to raise the responsiveness of the scooter, I'll show you how to adjust that later. But let's go ahead, you pull off the front nut, which is going to be on the front of it. You're just going to pull that off, pull this back, and then the line will come off, and the line will also be connected here, so you can see. Now our next step is to remove the fuel lines. Now what you're going to need is you're definitely going to need something glass, and without a glass, it will just basically melt anything other than glass. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get a glass. I've got a champagne flute. Cheers to everyone out there. And we're just going to disconnect the top fuel line first. And just warning you, before you even start this process, there is fuel in the carburetor if you have been running the scooter. So you're going to want to be careful about how much, where you leave it. You're just going to want to always leave it resting the correct direction so that you don't get killed here. And you're just going to want to drain each pipe as much as you can. Jiggle it around a little bit, leave it hanging onto something so that you don't leak gasoline everywhere. And now you're going to have to connect to your bottom one. And I know you probably can't see this great, but what I'll do is I'll take you back through and show you where the hoses connect in 1 second when I got this whole thing out of here. Now we're going to drain that line as well. Now that we got both lines drained, now you're going to have to drain your carburetor a little bit because your carburetor is going to be full of gasoline. And the best way of doing that is just tilting it sideways, like you're going to use it, and it will just drain out on itself. And that will make it much more convenient. I'm not sure how well of view you got of this stuff, but you know, you'll understand in a bit. And it's just going to drain out of the bottom hole, and I'll show you which one I'm talking about in a second. Now, this is the trick that took me stripping so many screws to learn. And now we're going to disconnect the auto choke or fuel enrichment sensor. Now you just remove the heat shield. You're going to want to find a good solid place to put it up. If you can put it up, like balance it somewhere, because you're going to need to get a little bit of a pound here. And we'll just use our wrench. Now this is the trick I learned. Let me just go ahead and pull you over to here where the carburetor is. And I'll go ahead and pull this back a little bit so you get a good view of it. There we go. Well, you're not getting really a perfect view, but you can see the auto choke, which is this right here. And what you're going to want to do is put your Phillips head down. Be careful not to kick over your gasoline glass. But you're going to want to put your Phillips head in here. And this will save you from stripping any screws. Just knock it on the back like 3 times and just... And that's very important when you're dealing with Chinese screws because it will keep you from stripping them. And look at how much easier that is, because you can bear and grin, and if you strip one of these screws, you can take it out, but it's such a big pain in the butt, you just don't want to deal with it. So I'm going to go ahead and do that for this side as well. Let's go ahead and take this in the same method. Just a couple of taps. Nothing, nothing you can't handle. Just be very careful not to lose any of these screws, because you can replace them, but they're very, you can go to like a Lowe's or a Home Depot, but now with how things have been dropping with those guys, it's so hard to find someone to help you find, get a match, because these aren't the most popular screws in the whole world. They're quite small, actually. I'll show you what it looks like as soon as I get this out. This does not want to come for me easy, does it? The scooter's fighting back. Let's see here. Ah, there we go. I'm starting to get it. There we go. It's out. And this is basically what's connecting you on. Let me pull this, show you guys on the camera. There it is. That was what was holding on your auto choke. Now we just remove this, and we're ready for the next step, which would be actually opening up the carburetor to get to the jets to clean.